Hey guys, welcome back. We have Wargroove Grand Finals Game 2 and possibly 3 here. On the line, I'm joined by Psychoya. Psychoya, how's it going, man?
Hey, it's been a while, but yeah, I'm going pretty well, despite the fact that this is 5 a.m. But yeah,
Well, it wouldn't be an international Wargroove Grand Finals without a little bit of ridiculous sleep schedules, would it?
that's true. Wargroove does tend to be like that, especially when one of the more recurrent finalists is, I think he's in Singapore. At least it's in that time zone. So yeah, thanks Zero.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's pretty much just him, like alone in that time zone with respect to like top eight Wargroove players. Top eight making Wargroove players. Is that about right, or are there new Asian players that have started to make waves?
I think Searing Blight is in Australia, but that's not exactly the same. It's arguably even worse,
Oh, sure.
time zones wise. Um, Apart from that, I don't seem to remember any. Because like Groove of Nations is always like a huge mess when it comes to teams, so I don't actually remember who's from where.
Yeah, I ended up on the South American team last time, and yeah, definitely. I tried to coordinate a tournament earlier this year that tried to incorporate like Europe, the Americas, and East Asia. Like tried to figure out a time zone that would work in a weekend, and I did the math, you guys. It's just not possible. Like it's just there isn't a time. It just doesn't work. Somebody has to be at some ridiculous time, and that's the only way. That's the way it has to be.
Oh, we have the bands coming out actually.
Oh, we do.
Seems like alright, so they both banned Vesper, which is I guess depending on the map they're on, makes sense. Zero banned twins, and I think this is a very zero ban. It's like because twins kind of require their own prep. But yeah, Zero is the kind of guy to not do that prep and then just ban them and go whatever.
Makes a lot of sense.
I don't want to deal with it. Mm, Go7 banned Volder and Sedge as well. I think Volder makes sense, So Zero is a resident Volder main. Pretty pretty adamant about his Volder. His profile picture is Volder. So makes sense. And then Sedge, I think it's Sedge makes it. I can see Go7 banning Sedge because he requires some pretty specific play when you're playing against his group. So I will say maybe one of the weaknesses Go7 has as a newcomer is like not being very familiar with how you play every groove or against every groove. So stuff like Sedge, which kind of basically requires you to know what to do or you die, is, pretty dangerous. Banning Sedge makes sense.
Yeah. Also,
And
along the
then,
lines of thinking about intuition for getting below 35%. I don't know how good.
it's true.
I don't know like what how Go7 has prepared for this tournament in terms of like knowing base damage values for units. I don't know if he just like sticks it all in that massive brain of his and just doesn't forget it, or maybe he has a calculator next to him, but being able to like intuitively know what attacks drop below 35 can be kind of helpful.
Ooh, and they're getting ready. And ooh, this is the encounter. And this is a very interesting matchup for this map, actually.
Yeah, definitely. So I scuffed up the intro last time, so I think our guest here gets to do the intro this time.
Alright, so in the top left, as player 1, we have Zeronix playing Emmerich. And the bottom right, as player 2, we have Go7 on Nuru. And Nuru, I think, has shown to be Go7's comfort pick, I'd say. It's like, it's not too complicated of a commander to understand. Like, it basically expands on your base knowledge, what Nuru can do. There's no like specific interactions that you need to know to execute to use Nuru properly. It's pretty straightforward. You use you summon a unit, the unit moves and attacks, and that's it.
Exactly, and
Now
it gives
for
you a lot of
Emmerich,
options.
you could. It's true with Emmerich. You could argue this is quite the opposite because Emmerich introduces quite a lot of stuff that you don't usually see in every game. For example, air will now begin. You will now see air with defense bonus, which, you know, usually doesn't happen since there's no terrain for air. For example, there's stuff like balloons won't be dying to mage if they're under Emmerich's crystal. And we'll see if Go7 gets surprised by stuff like that.
Definitely.
Let's see.
Is the opening symmetric so
Yeah,
far?
go ahead. The opening seems fairly standard. I think what's going to be interesting is to see how they use the commander in the corners and what they follow up to help the commander with. Because uh, the interesting part of this opening is that the commander is at low HP and it's not that easy to heal. But the commander does go into an area you want to take control of, so some people like remedy to this by sending a wagon to send in an extra sword down there so that the commander can heal. That's kind of my favorite way of playing this. But you can already see a few differences. Like Zeronix captured this village right next to the tower with his sword, and Go7 captured a more forward village, and that will allow him to harass the commander with his forward sword if he chooses to. It won't actually put him behind, so what will happen is basically he will have a forward sword sooner, but Zero will have his swords arrive all at once with the follow-up dog. So there's ups and downs. Usually the way Go7 is doing it can be way more annoying to deal with, but we'll see how it plays out. Zeronix going for dogs. A lot of dogs actually. He might be saving up for something. I'm not sure dogs have the best synergy with Emmerich, but I think maybe I should talk a little bit about how the map plays out. The encounter is actually a pretty interesting map where dragons are usually a very powerful buy because you see this road in the middle and this water. That's free real estate for dragons basically. And so usually how the map plays out is the only real open places are around the corners, but that's kind of an area you don't want to invest too much into. So you have to play around the choke points near the center, which can be really interesting because Emmerich has the tools to set up a very strong position around a choke point with his groove, but Nuru has the tools to like navigate around the both sides of the map. Um, Usually, how I like to play it is to basically have one or two transports, and then that way you're able to switch over really fast and put pressure on your opponents. But eventually, you have to have enough firepower to break through whatever defenses your opponents set up. Um, Interesting, by Go7 on the south, you'll see there's a sword that basically skipped over a village to go forward and put more pressure onto Zeronix's commander, which is really interesting because if Zeronix were to like capture the village from a very aggressive position, like say below the village, he could actually die for that.
Yeah, you do see that that forward skip is a little bit unusual, it seems. I guess one thing it does, another thing too, you could do like if Emmerich stays and caps, you could do uncap capture of that forward village in one turn.
Yep, I think uh, that's probably what we're gonna see. Mm, Go7 has to watch out here because this is a very easy trap to fall for, basically. Is if Nuru were to capture the right village, then like the village right to her, she would then not have a lot of healthy villages around her, which might become problematic because she might not heal up in time before the knight that Zero builds this turn arrives to like fight her or them, actually them.
Yeah, that's a
we're
good.
seeing
Go ahead.
we're seeing Go7's knight get a nice position that can go either way. Mm, Also, like targets this village that's not captured yet, and there's no real counter to this besides like putting the sword in front or something, which then loses you the sword potentially.
Yeah, everything else looks pretty
But
far out of
yeah,
the way.
this is already starting to be tricky.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say this is the point in the game where we've gotten outside of everybody's prep and we're starting to make moves that are being thought up more carefully on the spot.
Yeah, although Zero does seem to like have uh, a heal set up for his commander next turn, which is pretty important. I think what Go7 has the option to do is simply to like stand here with Nuru and just heal. That way next turn you will be at full HP when you heal on the village. But he might lose the village like it he might lose a village in his territory uh southwest of Nuru, but there's not much he can do about that.
Yeah, I think
He will have
a
to take
common
it back later, basically.
right. I mean, I was gonna say a common thing that we saw last time from the last Go7 game was that it looked like the commander didn't get a heal that was like built into the opening. There was a bit of like work to heal once the opening phase was capped. What was sorry, finished. Um, whereas Zeronix looks like he'll probably go for the commander heal as like a way. It looks like it was sort of planned into his opening.
Yeah. And I guess this is really it's something that has been in Wargroove maps for a while. The low commander HP starts, and you really have to get used to it. Go7 capturing this village means that Nuri is gonna have a bit of an awkward time healing up, but he did not have the money this turn with his builds to like heal his commander on top of that. Hmm. I think if I were to like give a piece of advice for how Go7 played this is like if he wanted to capture this village with Nuru anyways, his sword could have been placed to capture the village left of there uh, next turn basically, which would have been I guess a bit more optimized of a route, but we'll see how this plays out. Because Econ has been like going back and forth in the opening as it should be, but now it might start to favor one player.
The Zeronix in the upper right had another option too that I was wondering about, which is like knock down village in the upper right and then capture the neutral village, the only remaining neutral village. I mean, the good thing about this is it does kind of. The commander doesn't have the ability to heal after sword cap, so that actually looks really good.
Yeah, I think this is like this way of doing things where if you left the village uncapped, then Nuru would have been able to heal on it, and doing it this way uh, means that Nuru is gonna lose a lot of tempo trying to heal, like get a regular heal, and I think Nuru is one of these commanders where Econ does actually matter quite a bit because your groove is tied to your bank. It doesn't matter like that much because you can save up and the groove is more about the flexibility, but having more money doesn't really hurt. Meanwhile, Emmerich, I'd argue, is a commander that can do well even if he doesn't have like all the money in the game. I think he's decent at making good use of cheap units, so even from behind, Emmerich is still can be pretty strong. So right now, mm, the econ is pretty even, but the main difference I'd say is that I guess the HP values on the commanders aren't that different. Uh, Go7 has 59 HP, Zeronix has 75. It will be 80 at the beginning of his turn. So they have about 20% of difference. Well, maybe 15. But yeah. Um, I'm not seeing anyone banking for Dragon yet. I think in this matchup it's pretty interesting because Emmerich does make good use of dragons because they benefit from terrain defense, but it's not like you still it's not like it enables your dragons to just you know, run in and take hits all the time. So it's not like Emmerich loves dragon. It's just if it's just that, you know, it helps out a bit when you have the groove with Emmerich. However, Emmerich does like have a tool to punish dragon severely, because if he does have groove up, he can like just put it down, and then suddenly mages can outcrit dragons. Mm, but there's also the fact that Nuru does do well with dragons, because when you have a dragon, it does put pressure on your opponent's anti-air, which is probably going to be mages, considering Zeronix is Emmerich, and mages are like have crazy synergy with Emmerich. But basically, what will happen is when Nuru has groove up, the mages are gonna need extra protection to not get sniped by like a dog or a night groove that will then allow the dragon to go in unchecked.
Yeah, definitely a lot of special play cases with dragons, with these how these two commanders work. Let's see. So Zeronix here, I'm not sure if he expected this sword to die to these two swords in the lower left going deep. At least I didn't. You know, maybe he saw that coming. Um, it does seem. I mean, does Emmerich kill the AHP sword? Is that a one shot or is it just short?
Um, I think it should be a one shot, although it's on flagstones, so it might be a little. There might be a chance for it to fail. But that wouldn't really matter too much, even if it were to fail, because Emmerich is fast charge, so it wouldn't impact too much.
So Emmerich here gets the one shot, has groove ready for next turn if he finds a use for it. And then this dog hit onto the other sword looks pretty safe. Nothing can hit it next turn. So in a sense, it's free damage, continuing the trade. And then this.
Although you have you also have to consider that by going forward with his swords, Go7 is protecting his village, that like behind the 6 HP village, which basically would have been the target for Emmerich if there wasn't swords in front.
That's a great point.
So
That's a great point.
so you know I guess it's a it's not like a bad trade or anything. It's you know it's just a calculated one. Oh, and I'm curious if Zero is gonna be saving up money this turn, because even if Go7 makes mages next turn, a dragon could like go kind of go on a rampage pretty easily.
Yeah, yeah. No anti-air in sight for Go7 right now.
He does have a balloon to like transport the mage around if he needs to. Um, but dragon generally is pretty powerful on this map. Or will he just start like pumping out balloons because he's Emmerich, and that's how you should play Emmerich?
Yeah.
You're under a lot of pressure actually now. Um, does have like options like sending the knights over to defend Nuru. Uh, has to be careful because you don't want to step into knight crit range of this other knight. Although I guess if you capture the village, then the knight won't be able to go through it.
Hmm. So
But
looks like
Go7 is.
I was
Oh
gonna
yeah, go
say
ahead.
Zeronix does look like he or I guess did he buy that balloon? What's his gold at? So his gold is actually at 300, so 1300 for next turn.
Yeah, not quite enough for a dragon unless you want to skip to barracks build, which is. I don't think we're gonna see that.
Yeah. But sorry, you were saying?
I think I was gonna say Go7 still needs anti-air because the presence of like one balloon is enough to like warrant anti-air, especially on this map where like as I've said before, there's like choke points near the center, and if you don't have anti-air, like that balloon is gonna go in front of everything and block, and then you're just gonna be standing there. I can't do anything. So, especially with Emmerich, like he could plop down a crystal, put a balloon in front, and then you don't really have many options left to deal with it. Uh, if you have only one mage, it's complicated. If you have none, it's gonna be painful. Oh, that sword actually heals on the village. If it didn't necessarily need to heal, I think it would have been better not to. This way, Emmerich can't like knock down the village. But I think like Emmerich, if you're gonna position units behind, then Emmerich wouldn't really want to anyway. So I can understand it.
Yeah, I was thinking Emmerich knocking down that village is one of the less exciting things he can do for next turn. I mean, I guess he
I
doesn't have any
mean,
other. He could like go deeper, is what I mean. Step further forward. He doesn't really have anything exciting he can do immediately, unless he wants to crystal maybe. But
I mean, good crystal, but I don't really see the point yet because. I think hitting the village is like probably the best thing he can do, and then like wait for the balloon to arrive.
yeah, yeah. I guess
What I'm
I was
curious
just
about
looking
is,
at the two villages he could maybe recap, but maybe you don't need a crystal in order to do that.
mm, well, you might need crystal to do it because you don't have a very like. The army is not that powerful yet. It all depends, like if the balloon goes south and then transports 2 units there, then it's gonna be a pretty big army that most likely won't need the crystal. But I think just the presence of Emmerich alone should be enough for Zero to take back the villages. Hmm. Go7 ahead on Econ actually, but there is one glaring problem he is gonna have to deal with. Uh, that is, where does Nuru go? And that is a problem indeed.
Yeah, and looks like Go7 moved. Looks like both knights are being sent north. To deal with this one knight. Um, which looks like it can stick around a turn and potentially interrupt this or decap this village as an option.
I mean, we could just see Nuru like stand there and heal, but that would leave like the night crit available, so maybe not. If Nuru moves like for like full move, there's the threat of night crit, which, considering the HP values right now, like a dog and a night crit has lethal potential on Nuru at this HP right now. So Go7 has to, not forget that Nuru can potentially die. But apart from like this small Nuru problem, it's going decently well. Zeronix does have groove, but Emmerich is a fast charger, so can't really stop that anyways. And very defensive movement with Nuru, actually.
Yeah, that is pretty far out of the way. Definitely out of the range of everything. And in range of potentially going even further back to full heal off of the village.
And look at these buys.
Double Archer! Whoa!
Alright, so Double Archer is definitely a choice you can make. So on most maps, I would say Double Archer is not recommended because you basically create like units you need to protect in your army, and at this point in the game, you don't have that much units to wall for them. However, this map, like I said, has a lot of choke points near the center, which means it's way easier to protect your units, like archers when they're behind, and they can make use of these choke points and like chip away at units slowly, like take position pretty well. This is also against Emmerich, and Emmerich is not known to make units that have especially high mobility. You'll most likely have to watch out for mages, but usually Emmerich will make like more spears, which means he will have slow move but tanky units, and archers are usually pretty good to have against Emmerich in particular, because that allows you to still kill units when they're under crystal. So that means Zeronix is not going to like go crazy with absolutely stupid positions where a sword is blocking everything under the crystal.
Right. What sort of damage do archers do to crystals?
So basically everything has a base value of 105 against the crystal, but the crystal does benefit from its own defense, and you also have to consider crits. So basically, usually the crystal will get 2-hit KO'd by everything, and if you want to one-shot it, you'll need something like a crit, but it'll only work if the crystal is on a road. If it's on the plains, it doesn't work anymore.
Okay, gotcha, gotcha. I was just wondering if the archer was specifically like anti-crystal itself tech, not necessarily the stuff surrounding the crystal.
Well, it helps. It helps with both, really.
Gotcha.
Oh, Go7 doesn't get the lucky roll on that village. Um, and now, oh, is he just going to balloon both archers behind these swords? This is this can be pretty scary, you know. Like you just have archers that can get dropped everywhere on the map. It's like it's really hard to engage when you know there's archer backup coming everywhere all the time. But Zeronix, you know, he noticed Go7 still doesn't have anti-air, made a harpy, and I wouldn't say this is a very harpy map. And as I'm a Wargroove player, um, I will say the harpies are not that great usually. But you know, if your opponent doesn't build anti-air, then harpies get their job done.
So looking even with I was looking at tactics in the lower left. Looks like with the dog crit, it seems that like mage moves onto the mountain, right? Yeah. Um, so it looks like you could wipe out all three of the lower left swords. Um, but then you just wonder how much damage the archers are going to do in return.
Mm, let's see. I think the archers might actually need more units to cover for them if they're gonna like have a proper punish next turn. So Go7 will have like the two dogs and that sword in. Like he has the option to send the dog and the sword that are in the middle. I think he should. Um, if only to like cover for the archers that are gonna be dropped right now. But a mage on the mountain, even with archers, is still kind of a pain to kill. There's also like the possibility of Zero using Groove next turn. I don't really see it happening because uh, Emmerich probably is just gonna hit something next turn.
Right, and it does seem like dropping Crystal, it seems like the rest of Emmerich's army is kind of not by him.
Yeah. Zeronix's main force is on the other side of the map, trying to bully Nuru, basically.
So in the meantime, these archers are enjoying a very balloon ride as the balloon decides where to go next, and like pushing left is where they're going to end up.
Oh, very forward with the archers. One can die in this position to the mage. But maybe Zero will not want to trade his only mage for an archer and allow the balloon block next turn. I think Go7 is basically putting everything forward and saying, if you fight here, I win. So do whatever you want.
Yeah. Yeah, it does seem like anything that stays and fights for Zeronix in the lower left would probably die. Except for maybe Emmerich, but you have to see about that.
Well,
It depends on where he goes.
if the mage does go down, there is the threat of balloon being used to like trap Emmerich and surround him.
Yeah, you're
So
right. You're right.
it does get dangerous, you know.
Yeah.
Alright, Nuru finally full HP. Still in a passive position. Balloon is probably not going to go there anytime soon, so gonna be stuck on defense duty, but you know, if like Nuru can build up a small army and march out to take back villages, then in a few turns it should be fine. The econ has been like decently even so far. Ooh, we see Zeronix going in on the lower left. I'm not sure this is where Zero wants to go in. His army is on the top right. And like reinforcements are not gonna be there for next turn. This Harpy, the Knights, the Balloon, they can all like start coming over, but they're not gonna be in range to affect next turn. So Go7's punish next turn might be very big if Zero chooses to stay here and fight. If he just wanted to like trade the mage for the archer, that's fine. It's like 100 gold value for Zero. And then he could retreat with the rest of his army.
This should protect us.
Oh, looks like that's what he's going for. Alright, so just trading the mage for the archer in like a more isolated, it's more like in a vacuum, it's a worth trade of, you know, getting 100 gold of value above your opponents. It does like pose the question of what will this balloon be used for next turn, because it can potentially be used as an unbreakable wall next turn. I think right now Go7 should not tunnel vision on the crystal and like absolutely try to break it. I think that might be a mistake if he does it. Because this crystal is quite passive at the end of the day.
Gotcha, yeah. I was thinking, another thing about trading mage for archer right now. Well, I guess the mage you really want to have around when crystal's up, but like the archer with so many units just seems, having two of them seems pretty annoying. Pretty strong. Although, as I say that, Zeronix has thinned out, a number of units in this army. Let's see, his reinforcing unit was a sword, so it's kind of like a, reinforcing sword from the Rax build, but with the knight coming in and then a harpy as well, looks like there'll be a stronger force in another turn.
Yeah, I think at least this turn Go7 can have a decent counterattack. This mage in the forest can go down to a night crit, that's a one-shot. This archer can be used to hit KO something under the crystal maybe. The spear might be a bit complicated to kill if you only have one side and an archer, but Go7 has the dog crit as well, so he has some options to deal with this, and then he could like cover it up with a balloon, which means he has a pretty decent attack this turn. But like the one mistake he shouldn't make is stay and fight for too long inside the crystal. That's perhaps the one thing you shouldn't make against Emmerich, is taking an extended fight under his crystal. I mean, sometimes it's good because you win the fight, but if you don't, it gets pretty bad pretty fast.
Yeah, right. It's just not stacked in your favor. I think so for Go7, I guess he has to think a little bit too about what exactly he wants to do in the upper right. Um, Nuru is really the only thing keeping the 3 HP, or I guess the 30 HP village alive. Otherwise, that's looking to get decapped. And other than that, it's like, unless you want to push up that way, you might be hard pressed to find objectives to do with the units that Go7 has.
It's true. I think this village is probably going to go down next turn, regardless, because if you send the knights to cover for it, then you have the other knights to check it. This knight is not having a very good time because it's getting checked by the spear and the and the knight. If it chooses to go the other way, then the fight is probably gonna be already in a precarious state because the harpy will be there and like the balloon will be like flying over. So this knight, I'm not too sure what this knight is gonna do next turn, like this turn and next turn.
Which knight are you talking about now?
The knight next to Go7's HQ.
Ah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, guess trying to get involved in a fight on the left seems pretty decent, but as you said, it might be a bit late.
Oh, hang on. I think Go7 might be quite unfamiliar with Emmerich. The way he's setting up that dog crit, he might actually not know what Emmerich does.
I think he probably knows what the COs do, what the Groovers do. I mean, he might not know that
I'm
it
not
doesn't crit
sure.
though.
I'm not sure. You know, when I picked Sedge against him, after the game, he was like, "Oh yeah, so that's what Sedge does."
That is some S tier, like, trash talk.
And I mean, did he already face an Emmerich this tournament? I'm not sure.
I only watched the games versus you and the games versus Zeronix prior to this.
I mean, I can check real quick. Let's see.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, like this dog goes for the weakened dog. So I think he didn't know. Because he would have hit with the dog from the mountain if he wanted to kill that dog, right?
Yeah, or it's possible that he knew it was higher terrain, set the dog up, looked at the damage value, and went, "That's not 100," and then found something else to do.
Oh, but this turn is gonna hurt Go7 because this was supposed to be like at least somewhat of a punish, and it's turned into not the best position, let's say. He did send some units over to the left, but all Zero has to do really is like hold under his crystal, put a bit of pressure onto these like villages and like pick off what units he can. And then I think if you look at the unit value, like the unit count, it's about even at the end of Go7's turn, but they're kind of in the middle of a fight, so that means Zero is ahead because he will get like to strike next turn.
And it does look like he will. I mean, it looks like there's at least 2 units he can hit from within crystal range, as well as a village decap potentially with Emmerich. So, and the knight gets a crit on the dog, so that's a one shot. So, I mean, just what I mean to say is that there appear to be a few like pretty low commitment kills here.
Yeah, Emmerich is going to be under crystal. You still have to be a little careful because the crystal does lose HP over time, and then it gets easier to uh, to to kill it. Especially with an archer, like you can break through and then break the crystal pretty easily. But I think like Zero will probably do just fine fighting inside the crystal. That's what Emmerich does after all.
Right. It's, considering that Zeronix has no way of engaging on the two, like on either of the knights or the archer, it's like going deep for a sword just doesn't really seem like what you want to do right now.
Yeah. Alright, Zero starting to work on his second groove, and this is one of the strengths of Emmerich, is his fast charge means he can use like the momentum from the first groove to basically charge the second one.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Now it's starting to fall apart a little bit for Go7. He's not out of this yet, but he has to realize that taking a fight under this crystal is not going to do him any favors. Like, especially now that Zero has consolidated his army. He's got an archer behind this, he's got a mage. Go7 only has one mage on his side, so even if the mage trades for the harpy, you can still have problems with the balloon walling for the other units. And now Zero with his builds just added another problem for Go7. If you stand here and fight, the golem is gonna get to a relevant part of the map very fast.
Right, yeah. In a way, it can be like a means of testing to see if you're, maybe Zeronix saw the attack onto the crystal and thought, well, maybe I can do a wait turn and see if I can, maybe get two knights attacking my knight and then clean up pretty quickly. Yeah, try to bait just a little bit.
Let's see. Go7 could like trade his dog for the crystal. I don't think it's really a worthy trade because like he probably doesn't want to like stand in this area for too long anyways, even if the crystal falls. But if he sends the dog at the crystal, it won't like kill it outright, but it will put it at like low HP, so that at the beginning of next turn it will die from the HP loss.
Yeah, right. So I guess it does mean though that Go7 doesn't get to benefit from no crystal during this turn.
Yep. And he doesn't really have the means to attack into this. If you look at the other side of the map, there's a very obvious knight crit lined up for Nuru if Go7 tries to decap that village, it's it's as obvious as a night crit can get, to be honest. It is also lined up to take on the other village. But I think we're just gonna see Go7 move to take position on the other side of the map.
Yeah, it seems
I
like a
think
pretty...
I like.
Oh, go ahead.
I mean, if the crystal won't be moving with Zero's army once Zero has to go elsewhere, right? So by just taking the fight somewhere else, you reduce the value of the crystal.
Yeah, and that's what I was about to say that too. I like the idea behind it. And it looks like Go7 is going to have enough of an army that, or it depends on what the Central Knight does, but could potentially have enough of an army pushing north to contest the 7 HP village, which looks like he's dropping with 3 spears here, so a pretty committal force looking to potentially grab this village.
Yep, there's also like the Harpy behind this, so Nuru should be able to like get Groove next turn potentially. Which will be like quite important in this game because if you need a magic trick to to make up for like, I guess there's a bit of a deficit in unit count right now in favor of Zeronix. But Nuru Groove does somewhat compensate for that by basically giving you an extra unit.
Right, yeah. The just costs twice as much.
This golem will be a problem eventually, but Go7 has a few turns to like prepare an answer.
Yeah, interestingly, last game, I mean, I don't think he answered the golem with kind of the first things that I guess the first line of defense, the first things you think about when you're responding to golem, which for me are like dragon, golem, and then I guess I don't know if trebs are ever legal anymore, if you guys deleted those, but I mean, he kind of responded with like archer, spear, knight, which to me feels like a kind of a difficult sort of response, in that you have to be, it doesn't always work. Like the stars kind of have to align, and then you can snipe yourself a golem.
I do think that archers are like a good tool to have around for dealing with golems. Like it helps you chip at them so they can't like step forwards too carelessly. It helps you like manage their HP so that they don't crit you back uh, at like full power when you're trying to kill them. It also like helps you basically like get more damage on it, which means it's easier to kill them. You still need other units to actually do the damage, and just spears isn't really gonna cut it. Usually like night crits or your commander or like just chipping them a lot can work, but it's still like it's still quite a task to take down a golem with just cheap units. Although Emmerich can do it, funnily enough. And Nuru also, like, with Groove, will always have that. If you need that extra bit of damage, well, Nuru can provide it, which is good.
Right, yeah, for the surprise factor. So Zeronix here moved a good chunk of the forces in the upper right, leftward, kind of playing sort of keep away from Go7's giant army. And we might see kind of a change in the direction of the fronts here, kind of with this split going north-south as opposed to diagonally.
I will say this might be like development that allows Go7 to come back into the game. I say that as Zeronix is taking more and more villages, but if like Zeronix were to like make a big blob in the middle, I don't think that's the best course of action for him to further his lead, because basically if we're near the center, like I've already said, there's a lot of choke points, which means you can simplify the battles to like whatever's in front plus the archers. And when the situation becomes like that, it means that it's a situation where Go7 can actually fight on even terms. Right now, he's more like taking control of the entire side, like south side of the map, which kind of prevents that very choke point defense, which is a good like play, I guess. A good map awareness from Zeronix to like know this is how Go7 can come back, and this is how I stop him.
Yeah, definitely.
Because now Go7 has a choice to make. Like, does he spread out his army? Because you really want to send a knight top right to capture these villages. There's like nothing there. You want to send a few units there, but you also have to send some units south to defend from this. But the worst case scenario is getting spread out all across the map and basically feeling that you're behind in every fight that way. So we'll see how Go7 answers.
One thing it does seem, well, okay, it looks like some pressure on this knight down here. Living at 7, so, you know, having to send another unit in to kill this knight seems just a little bit dangerous, because Zeronix does have a pretty formidable force here, although I guess nothing can hit Archer except for Harpy, but there's also no anti-air except for the mage. Okay, there's just too much that has to fall into place yet. I'm trying to read it too far ahead.
Gets the I don't know if that's really unlucky or not from Go7 to. I guess he did want to get the Night Crit decap on the village. He got the very unlucky roll. There's like, I think if you get -4 or 5 on the Pike Crit, the village at 80% health doesn't die. And that's what just happened. So, kind of unlucky. It does mean that Nuru gets grouped this turn. So maybe blessing in disguise, but you still don't wanna. That's still a damaged spear that you'd rather have at full HP.
Right. Well, and I mean the silver lining is I guess it can heal immediately after the cap next turn, but kind of low HP village kind of you might feel that might come back to bite you if you heal off that village immediately.
Yeah, it's definitely not ideal, and I mean Go7 now has grooves, so Now the Zeronix has to keep in the back of his mind, uh, a Nuru groove can come out every turn.
Right. So have you noticed with Go7, is he more of like a saver with Nuru, or is he or is he still full buying every turn?
Mm,
Or,
I think he's a saver.
okay, or is everyone a saver? I guess maybe that's the better question. Is like, is full buying every turn with Nuru even an option?
I mean, I'm not a saver usually, unless I want to go for like a meme strat, like grooving a ballista or a dragon, which is pretty excessive. Uh, even by even for memes, but I think Go7 is a saver actually, where like you keep some money in the bank to give yourself more options. He's It might not actually happen this game because he's already behind on economy, so you don't necessarily want to put yourself far, like further behind. Uh, and like there's a lot of units you want to buy if you're Go7. Like you
Right.
could buy a Harpy south to like help defend this push. That's that's like a decent option. You still want to buy stuff to deal with the golem. Um, this force in the south kind of needs a few spears to really become solid for defense. Goes for witch. Now this is an interesting buy. It's interesting because the hex is true damage, which means it bypasses the defense from the Emerald Crystal, and it like basically even under the crystal, every unit will take 10% from the witch hex. But most importantly, it means that it's easier to kill units that are under the crystal with if you have the witch hex as a tool, and that means crystal loses value if it's easier to break it, like to kill the units under. So I think it's a good it's good in this matchup. I'm not sure if it's the best unit to buy for this situation in particular because if you trade a witch for like a harpy and then a mage kills your witch, that's gonna put you further behind when you're already down on econ. But at this point, you maybe Go7 is starting to like feel that commander lethal needs to happen, which it's understandable. He's quite far behind, so maybe making a witch to fish for lethal is also like the reasoning, and
Right.
maybe it's just a combination of all this.
Yeah, exactly. It can be multifaceted for sure. And actually, with respect to fishing for lethal, looks like Zeronix again has. Last I checked, it was about a 10-minute lead on the timer. So, timer pressure, like building an army slightly more built for lethals when you're behind an army, when you're behind in time, seems like decent idea.
Yeah, indeed. Uh, This is like something you see players like Sneaky Dragon do quite a bit, like get units that pressure off the commander when they're slightly behind. so that the commander can't be as aggressive, or like if it oversteps, you basically win. But Emmerich is one of the safest COs after he gets his groove down, especially because like this terrain defense makes commanders very hard to kill. Not impossible, mind you, but still kind of hard. I think Zeronix is not known to be afraid of putting his commander into active positions.
Yeah. Yeah, a few times yesterday, I sort of explained what I thought Zeronix's move was, and he just makes one move with a unit like really deep, and I just go, okay, throw that all out the window. So he has a different idea in mind.
This sword hitting the village means that next turn you can like knock it down, and then you can potentially set up stuff like a night crit onto the HQ, or like just the golem walking through that village is a pretty big threat in itself.
Oh yeah, that is pretty nasty. You can set up night crit golem behind the like knocking down the village. Although
Well, I say that, but then he sets up a night crit onto the village, so he doesn't actually need to weaken it with a sword.
that too.
uh, well, you know, it's we get the intention behind this.
No, he's setting up for like 5 turns down the way where he sees a lethal sword suicide.
Of course.
Of course, yeah.
Actually, that's a good point. Something that I forget a lot, that damage swords in this game can be pretty valuable, and are actually like players that are often looking for lethals like having damaged swords like that and setting them up ahead of time, because it basically means you have an easy suicide into the commander or any unit really. And suicides means that you deal damage, but you don't take up space around the unit you want to kill. And that sets up for an easy kill, basically. Go7 is going to take back some economy right now. That's, you know, it's really gonna finally breathe, I guess. He could decap both and capture one. I don't think he can capture both with his current position, unless he grooves, but that would be excessive, I guess.
Stylish, but not very effective, perhaps.
Zeronix did go for a thief, and I'm not sure how I feel about this. It's like, do you really need a thief when you're already this far ahead on economy? I guess what the thief does is like it either forces the opponent to like spread the units he has all across his villages, or like gets a good steal. So in that sense, then the thief can be effective at furthering your lead when you have a unit count lead, because it means the opponent has to cover more ground. So I can understand it for this reason, but on this map, I mean, I can see it work, but maybe a unit that more directly contributes to your, like, army might have been better.
Yeah,
Zeronix
it's
is
hard to
one of
say.
the players that uses thieves the most. So he's like he could be like winning in 2 turns, and then he'd build a thief and go, yeah, long term this is a good buy. You're like, okay.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think I mean the one thing that Zeronix may be foreseeing is like if they continue to like trade sides as they are, kind of pushing like this, having a thief around kind of makes your push a little bit more cost effective.
That's true, but that's really like a long term buy.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And I mean, if Zeronix wants to play long term with this position, I mean, why not? It does mean that he will win in the long term. And can Go7 close the game before like this thief becomes relevant? I'm not sure he has the like. I'm not sure it's in his hands to do so. Really.
Well, actually, Time Key did point out the thief can go into the balloon next time Zero can move, as well as the archer. So, I mean, at least there's that setup. So the thief gets into the action pretty quickly, and who knows, maybe he goes for the HQ heist.
Right against. I mean,
Don't-
it's it's a play like against Nuru. If you can have a thief steal on a turn where you're afraid of Groove, and Nuru can't kill that thief, even if it dies next turn, it's one turn where Nuru Groove is a non-issue because it doesn't have money.
That's really cool. That's really cool. You know, it's really too bad the thief can't steal from the HQ and then dump it in the river and then steal again.
Yeah, that's yeah, that would be quite something.
Well, they can you can find my contact information in the stream. You know, Chucklefish for Wargroove 2. You know, I'm full of ideas.
It's like if I can't get this money, then neither can you. I mean, that's actually what happens with Wolfar. If you groove your like a thief that's got money into the water, nobody gets the money.
So the mechanic
It's
is in the
like,
game.
yeah.
That's really funny.
I think it's because it counts like the thief dies from like terrain or something. So it's basically like, oh yeah, nobody killed this thief, so nobody gets the gold.
It's like giving an offering to whoever made the map.
Well, that would be interesting. The map maker received the gold when that happens.
Yeah.
I mean, it's actually an interaction you have to be aware of when you're playing Wolfire with thieves, because if you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get all this money, and then you golf into the water, it's like, oops. How you want to do it, how you want to actually do it is you want to have the thief be damaged by your opponent, so you can groove it, and the damage from your groove will kill the thief, and that counts as you killing it, and you get the money.
Man,
It's pretty convoluted for what's basically.
I'll
I
have to
mean,
read the patch
for
notes
what's
later.
basically why don't you groove your thief back towards your hideouts?
Yeah, it's a great idea, man. So in the meantime, Go7 has moved his commander south a bit. It looks like there's a healthy amount of troops in the upper right. Um, Looking like a night crit could be set up in a turn to take out even a deeper village. Um, but in the meantime, Zeronix has like no interest in contesting the upper right for the time being. Um, so with that, army in the upper right for Go7, everything else is down south, kind of facing off versus Zeronix. And yeah, for the first time, we're starting to see the commanders go toe to toe.
Yeah. Actually, you know why Zeronix isn't interested in fighting this top right part? It's because he wants Go7 to capture these villages so he can steal from them later.
Oh, okay.
So this actually works in his favor, right?
Yeah, yeah.
um, I guess next turn from passive charge, Zeronix will have groove regardless of what happens. So we're gonna see both commanders having groove indeed. Um, this archer and this harpy could go down from Go7 in the south. That's pretty unfortunate. You don't want to lose that archer like that. But I think it needed to like crit the harpy to get the kill or something. So Zeronix gonna keep damaging the south pretty heavily. Um, he is entering a somewhat dangerous position, and he has to be careful not to overextend with his army because he is getting pretty close to his opponent's production, and that's always, that's always a good way to lose the game.
Yeah, and I was just noticing he only has two mages, one of which is in a potentially. Yeah, I mean, one of the mages looks very dangerously placed. I mean, it traded, so on purpose, but it is within night crit range, so you can easily see, kill the mage, build air unit, and then Zeronix has no mage on the front line.
Yeah, that might be perhaps the one weakness in Zeronix's army is not enough mages, which is rare to see when playing Emmerich. If, you know,
Wow, and his
actually,
other mage
this is
is.
yeah, this is pretty. Ooh, this is getting interesting because his other mage isn't covering this south part of the fight at all. So this harpy, so like you could say like he has a golem backing up his army, but if the witch is placed properly, um, it might not be able to interact with the fight this turn.
So that was a very fast turn from Zeronix. He's like right around 30 minutes, and Go7 is just has 16 minutes, looks like. So about half the timer, and that's gonna start to affect the game pretty drastically here shortly. Or it can at least.
I mean, this is a classic in Wargroup, really. Like, your opponent takes too long during their turns. Well, that means you spend less time on your turn because you've had their turn to think about your turn.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
it means those who are slower fall behind quickly. But and I mean, it does mean that Go7 in the long term will have to attack. which right now he's not really in a position where he can really do that. Um, let's see how well he punishes this force in the south and the lack of mages.
Yeah, it does look like you could do night on night, kill off a sword, but then maybe a witch hex finishes off some of these units down here if after some damage. But the archer could potentially be in trouble after if Go7 commits really hard in the south.
A little help here?
Oh, what's happening now? A spear with no friend.
Oh, that's really nice. That's really nice. He sets up a sword crit with Nuru's position, and like this some juicy tactics, you know.
Yeah.
It is a little. It does bring up the question of like, is Nuru gonna die next turn?
That is an important question.
It should be okay, I think. Like, Go7 has the tools to make sure Nuru lives. But he might have to hex if he wants to get a proper punish on this army in the south. Because the dog won't like fall to... Actually, even with a hex, the dog might not die to another dog.
Ooh, okay. Yeah.
He might have to use the knight onto the dog, and then he can use the spear from the right, I guess. And then that means he can cover with the witch to the left of his knight and have a pretty secure position, I guess.
Yeah, I like that for sure.
Although there's still like an archer and a spear that will be able to... Oh, never mind. He just goes in like that. And dogs do like... They don't do like quite Advanced Wars level of damage to knights, but they still do not enough.
Advanced Wars damage to knights, yeah.
Alright, we do see the hex coming. Just gonna say you should hex first if you're gonna take counterattack damage, but you know, that's just something you have to get the habit of doing. Does get some chip on the golem, which is relevant, I guess. I think usually witch hexing for damage isn't is probably something overrated by most Wargroove players, but in this case I think it's fine because you are dealing damage and you're like chipping at the golem, and the golem will either have to spend one turn healing, or you will force a mage heal from Zeronix, which means the gold value is even because hex and heal cost the same amount. So this is fine. Because you
Gotcha.
want golems to be at full HP, basically.
Oh, is it just that they get a number of really nice one-shots at that percent?
They do get a few one-shots at max HP. They still have quite a few at 90%, but the main thing is a golem at 90% is easier to kill than a golem at 100%.
Yeah, that's right. The number's lower.
and
That's right.
that's about it,
Gotcha,
really.
gotcha.
Oh, do you know? However, do you know something that's not easy to kill in Wargroove?
A balloon?
Like, think of the most annoying thing you have to try to kill that exists in the game.
I mean, wagons are pretty hard to kill. Commanders.
All right, wagons pretty high up there. Commanders as well. Okay.
Is it like a transport unit or transport ship? I don't know what the.
No, well, all right. Barge is also up there, but you don't see that every day. Now, if I tell you a golem with mountain defense, does that sound like amusing to play against?
It's amusing to spectate.
Because I think that's what's about to happen for Zeronix.
Oh, I
He's
thought that
just
this was
gonna.
supposed to be a meme answer. Oh shoot.
No, this is very. For once, this is gonna be very serious.
Okay. I ruined it. Okay. So
Oh well, the
here-
golem goes in the forest anyway.
Oh, and that really very nicely seals off the thief. It's very well protected there.
Yeah. Even captures the village right in front of Go7's HQ. Oh, actually, another answer would be a balloon with crystal defense.
Yeah, that's pretty annoying.
It's almost my signature move at this point. Let's see. Is Zeronix going to groove this turn, I wonder? Because he would get a lot of value from it. He could groove. He could put the crystal onto this forest tile. That seems like really annoying.
Yeah,
It would actually it wouldn't cover the balloon. So maybe you could. Wait, would it? Hang on. No, it wouldn't. So maybe you put the crystal onto the road tile next to it, and then put Emmerich in the forest. Although you have another balloon to move in and be that very annoying being of mortal might.
I was gonna say potentially. I mean, it does feel like you kind of want to, like you're attacking. Both big armies are in one spot. It feels like you want a crystal, but I mean, I didn't find a more convincing crystal place than you found. So
Actually, you could put Emmerich into the forest and put the crystal below him, and that basically that makes it very awkward for Go7 to get any kind of punish next turn. And actually, looking at the army, I don't think there's enough army here to actually get a big enough punish.
yeah, that's true. Go7's pretty much working with one knight and a witch and a commander.
Yeah. Alright, so... Oh, I thought he was gonna put the crystal below Emmerich. That would have been... Because, at the end of the day, the crystal is something that 2 units have to combine to kill. And when there's not that many units on the opponent's army, they can't really afford to spend 2 units to kill it anyways, so... Although I guess a sword crit and a witch hex is enough, so maybe not. But yeah, this is looking dire for Go7. He has 600 gold this turn because of the thief. Oof. if he witch hexes, that's half of his income this turn.
Yeah. And I mean, there's not many places where the witch could hex from where it wouldn't be in mage range for the next turn.
And yeah, this is not looking very good for Go7. It's like, there's no way there's a lethal here with Emric under crystal plus a golem right next to him.
Yeah, I mean, there's
Like, his HQ is gonna be exposed next turn. Doesn't get the rolls he needs on the south. I mean, I guess he could fix that with a witch hex, but then, you know, that's half of his money for this turn gone. This is
yeah, and even if it's
this is looking like the end, you know.
yeah, it's just you're looking for another unit to get involved, but there just are not that many of them. There they are. They're in the upper right. Yeah,
Right, that's a good point.
Yeah. Fortunately, they're just not really in the part of the map where Go7 probably wants them right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure you want to heal these units in the top right. They're not gonna achieve much. Now you can't even build an archer. This is not looking good.
What's the economy like? So Zeronix up 300 gold at the moment, and -3, so up 4 units. Does a crystal count as a unit?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
As it should, you know, it's a pretty, you know, it's a unit, right? It takes up a spot in your army, and sometimes it's pretty annoying to deal with. It's like, oh no, my crystal is taking up the spot for my archer.
Considering that it floats and rotates, it really doesn't move very far, does it?
No,
just
I
sort of
mean,
sits there.
how nice would it be if your crystal could like move 1 square every turn?
That would be evil.
It's like, and then you just keep healing it with mages, and then it just slowly moves forward towards the HQ of the enemy.
Yeah.
Uh,
Just like an Evangelion.
Go7 trying to pick off some units in the south, but everything's living on like 2%, 3%. And now his HQ is pretty exposed. He did set up a night crit onto the tile in front of his HQ, but like Zeronix could block that with a sword or something pretty easily. And he doesn't really even need to go for that. He could just collapse onto this south army and like pressure Nuru. Or he could just fall back with his thief and make another.
All in on thieves.
Oh yeah, just gonna kill stuff. You know, if he had put that crystal forward last turn, then he could actually make use of it this turn. You know, I'm just saying.
He would have even baited 2 swords forward too.
I mean, even if the crystal dies to 2 swords, that means you kill 2 swords extra, right? Because right now the crystal isn't doing anything.
It's just rotating there menacingly.
It really is all the crystal does.
Looks like there's actually a commander surround potential here. Although I guess with the balloon,
Yeah. Not anymore, I guess. You would have to like kill the sword with Amric and then put the golem behind Nuru.
well, you
Can't
can-
help but wonder if there was lethal this turn, actually. It's like, if that spear south of Nuru just like, crit Nuru, and then the golem hits from the right, that's like 70 damage. So yeah, there was lethal.
So there is a very funny witch hex next turn that kills 3 units.
Yeah, that's true. Zeronix could prevent that by blocking Nuru with a balloon, which means the hex has to attack instead.
Wait, that you can't hex adjacent to an enemy air unit?
No, I mean, if you hex, then you don't kill the balloon, which means
Oh, which means
actually,
you're dead. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So we can look at the numbers here again really quick. Zeronix still in income now, 500 lead temporarily. Unit count is pretty well swayed in his favor. Although it is the end of his turn, so Go7
the
gets to move
villages
as
do
well.
count in unit count, which is kind of weird, but
Right,
so it's
because
not
buildings
as bad as
count.
it looks.
Yeah.
It's not as bad as it looks, but it's still really bad. Oh, here comes the funny witch hex.
Masterful.
Oh no. I mean, that has to be some psychological damage, At least, if anything. But yeah, the game is looking like it's gonna end pretty soon,
Yeah.
like. Yeah.
There
Oh,
we-
well,
that's
as I
the-
say
yeah.
that, there we go.
Well, if you had to end it on a note like that, then that's good. That's a nice little.
Yeah, get the funny witch hex, and then you can tap out.
Yeah, couldn't afford to build a ballista. So, do you guys do that for us when we want to win in style? We build missiles at the end. Do you guys build ballistas at the end of your turn? At the end of the game?
Well, that's actually maybe like, we build ballistas so rarely that that's maybe like the most common ballista build reason.
Yeah, that's the same
So
with the missile.
I mean,
yeah.
ballista probably has a very high win rate,
yeah, yeah. That would be a
despite
funny
being
stat.
agreed to be like pretty not good as a unit.
Yeah, well, occasionally you get the I surrender missile. Like, I build the missile and it's like, then I hit resign. But those are a lot less fun. It's a lot...
But no, we're not tanking the ballista win rate like that in Wargroove.
Our ballistas are victorious. All right.
Actually, every time I try to think of a game where a ballista was built, it's a win for the Ballista player. So in my mind, in my heart, Ballistas have 100% win rate. You know.
Mm-hmm.
But that was a nice game, to be honest. Like, if you compare it to like the kill death ratio of compared to last game, it's more even. Although you could argue that 3 of that is the funny witch hex at the end, but but it's still a pretty good game.
No, that was, I like that
Oh
game.
wait, Go7 said he's sad with some misclicks. So maybe the turn where we were thinking maybe he's not familiar with Emmerich, that it was a misclick. Maybe
Oh, that could be.
that's unfortunate. Yeah.
Hey, so okay, this is gonna be challenging because I don't think I'm like Discord friends with you guys, but with both you and Zeronix. But if you're down, we can get Zeronix on here really quick.
All right.
We can say
Can try
hi.
to. Wait. Oh, wait. Well. Yeah, let's try that. We can have the take your turn interview.
Yeah,
I guess.
that sounds
Is
like
he
fun.
down for that?
He is. I asked him really quick here.
All right. Wait, I'm not friends with Zeronix. Wait, am I? No, I am. I think it's because you started the call, so I can't.
Oh, I almost
Wait,
added
no.
somebody that shouldn't have been. All right, we're calling him up now. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
Hey Zero, how's it going, man?
Oh, it's going great. Yeah, had a fun game. That was a solid game. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, great to hear. Yeah, tournament as a whole, I mean, us in Advanced Force world definitely, it caught our attention for sure. Seeing Go7, perform really well, and I mean, you've seen a lot of. I mean, you've been around Wargroup for so long, and you've seen a lot of players, come up, new players that perform well. What were your impressions?
Of Go7 or
Yeah,
specifically? Oh, okay. Yeah. Go7 definitely has very solid fundamentals in terms of like unit positioning, army composition, knowing like where to push, where's the right area to be pushing. So they have all of that, and I believe it's like transfer from Advanced Wars by Web mostly. I think what they're really lacking is like wargroup specific knowledge, like maybe knowledge of what the individual units in wargroup do. Because as an Advanced Wars player, it's really easy to make the mistake of coming in and thinking, oh well, infantry equals sword and pike equals mech and tank equals knight, etc. And I think you will lose a lot of games at high levels if you think that, because the units aren't that equivalent, and wargroup demands its own kind of understanding of the specific units being used, and also commanders. But besides that, I think Go7 definitely has the potential to be a really great war group player. Definitely could be a strong contender in Group War 8 if they get some more experience and gain that war group specific knowledge.
yeah, definitely. And I actually noticed too, even more to Go7's credit, like some kind of unintuitive build, like specifically with unit builds. I felt that they had some unintuitive choices that ended up working out pretty well for them. Like in particular, Harpies, which is, I mean, not everyone works out, but a number of times I was scratching my head and it played out fine. And I was like, okay, well, what do I know?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, harpies and witches are definitely maybe a bit underused by some and overused by others. There's like a niche for them. I think Go7 has a pretty good understanding of what that niche is for where he is right now.
Yeah, definitely. So I've been told as well that there were 3 events in this event of events, and you took first in Go, and you also took first here. So 2 out of
No,
3,
I did
you're
not win.
basically like won the tournament. You won the meta tournament, dude.
I did not win. I did not win Go, but I lost Go. Maybe the results haven't been updated. But yeah, I did win Wargroove, and I did win the most games in the qualifying round. So I did win like 2 out of the 4 possible prize categories.
Okay, sorry about that. Sneaky Dragon misinformed me. So
Oh, Stinky Dragon. I'm gonna use that from now on.
Wow.
Hey, Stinky Dragon.
wait, no, I said sneaky. I said it with an N. I didn't say
Wow.
stinky dragon.
Can't believe we're trash talking Sneaky like that.
You've done this.
I didn't do shit, man. You came up with it.
No, you did. I heard you say it first. Okay, let the record show that Dipsy Dog said it first.
Okay,
I mean, it's recorded. We can go back and check later, you
there
know.
will be a VOD tomorrow morning. We can have
It will be clipped and sent to Sneaky.
All right, we can have like a hearing, a judge, a jury. We need this to be sorted out. Like, okay. So, anyways, so we talked about the tournament and the players. So one thing I'm really curious about. I mean, like, do you see yourself being able to participate in Groove of War 8?
At the moment, yes. Of course, life is
Yeah.
full of unknowns, and that could always change. But I do plan on doing it at the moment.
Good stuff. Yeah, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. This is also knowledge that I got secondhand, so who knows? But is it true this is going to be the last Groove of War that's coming out, or at least the last for the last foreseeable future? I didn't get the full story.
Right. So I think what's happening is that Barrett, who has been basically running all the events mostly by himself with a little bit of help for the past 3 years, I think he's taking a step back because he wants to focus on other things in life, and totally respectable. And there has been like a hint of something called More Groove for a long time now, and we're not sure when that's coming out. Or if it ever is coming out, if it is, and that's part of the reason why he's stepping back, I think. But there could definitely be future Groove of Wars if somebody wants to fill the void and organize. Otherwise, I think that's probably the last tournament for a while.
Gotcha. Yeah, I didn't get the story as to if it was a personal decision or if it was a collective one, but I guess so. It sounds like it may just be temporarily on indefinite hiatus. But anyways, like I guess the reason I brought that up is because that got me thinking more like more hyped about Wargroove than ever. So I hope that everybody, some of these Advanced Wars players watching got to see some of this and got a taste for Wargroove and hopefully try out for Groove of War 8 coming up.
Yeah, for sure. I think the community, the Wargroove community, would definitely welcome like new challengers, people who want to shake up the status quo, take some seats for themselves in like the finals. So yeah, I definitely welcome that, and I think it would be great for the community as a whole. Let's re-energize it a lot.
Wargroove has a pretty good history of newcomers doing well in tournaments. We don't really have people that like win the finals, but we have a lot of newcomers who reach the finals.
Yeah, that's true. Like Mastro in the last tournament.
Yep, there was Searing Blight in Groove of War 6 as well. No, wait, 5. No, 6. Never mind.
Yeah, definitely. And oh, I was just gonna say, like newcomers to Advance Wars actually. I mean, it seems like there haven't been meteoric rises as much as there have been in the last year or so.
Isn't I mean, from the secondhand knowledge I've gotten, isn't Go7 like one of these meteoric rises in the Advance Wars?
Yeah, most definitely. Like, he's like the poster child of it right now. Like, being
Oh,
able
okay,
to.
so he's more the exception, I guess.
Yeah, well, but I don't know. I guess now that I think about it, and maybe I'm like kind of overstepping there, but I guess there have been some other people that hop in and get good extremely quickly. Thinking of Cypher, like prior to the reboot, but
Yeah, for Advanced Wars, I would say it's a bit skewed because like there is a active and very elite group of players that continuously compete in Global League and basically take up the top spots like forever. So there, I would say there have been like new people who got pretty good really fast. It's just that they haven't taken the top seats, which is it's understandable because there's a bigger hurdle for them to overcome in
yeah,
that sense.
definitely. And occasionally, like meteoric rise is like not always correlated with like sit down and think for 5 minutes on every infantry move. Like it's or like sometimes people play fast and like get in the habit of playing fast, and sometimes you just need to slow down and be very very particular to win versus like the top 5 type players.
Right.
All right,
Yeah,
well,
it's pretty common in like a 1500 plus global league games to spend several days thinking about your turn. Okay, well, not the full several days, but like a few hours spread over several days.
Wow, I could never do that.
we have fun things like calculators.
Well, that sounds very fun. I think I'll leave it to you guys.
We have calculators. Come play with us. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, definitely.
I
Thanks.
mean, I much prefer like live wargroove. We have timer stall, we have like transport bugs, we have misclicks, we have a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely a lot of room for love for both
Live play
games.
definitely makes for, yeah, live play definitely makes for a more interesting viewer experience.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Yeah, yeah, live is definitely, and the thing is, like, there's so many ways to do it too. Streams, and there's like different types of commentary you can do, and different combos of analysis, and yeah, there's a lot of ways for
Right.
people who want to, do live tournaments to make theirs pretty unique.
Yeah, it's like basically anything you can do for RTSs, you can do for live play. So that's nice. Or like chess.
Yeah.
I guess you can do both. It's like you can go both about RTS commentary and turn-based, since it's kind of a
Yeah.
mix.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I've been swiping ideas from chess lately about just like new stuff to do.
Nice.
All right. Well, yeah, thanks so much, Zeronix, for hopping on with us. And I mean, I think we could pretty much just sign out here. Thanks for the stream. People that are in the stream, that is. It was very enjoyable. And thanks to Zeronix and Go7 for a really great set of matches played over the last couple days. And last but not least, thanks very much to Saikoya for coming and joining me on this.
Yep, I think I'll go to sleep now.
Very
Oh
early.
yeah, it was my pleasure. It was my pleasure to join and chat. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Hope to see you streaming more Wargroove related things in the future, Dipsy.
Yeah, thanks.
That would be nice.
I would like to, definitely. All right, guys, we're signing off. Thanks so much for joining us. Bye.